Previously on خمسة مع رمضان.
I realized what's the best way to start learning Arabic already.
Questions from the very beginning. How to call the alphabet in Arabic? It is الأبجدية العربية. So أبجدية is alphabet. Of course, Masri will pronounce it الأبجدية. Quickly as a reminder, we started the last video a quick introduction about الأبجدية العربية or الحروف العربية, the Arabic alphabet, and we stopped by saying that we'll divide الحروف into three main groups to be easier to learn. So if you didn't watch the last video yet, I really recommend that you watch it. It will help you a lot, especially the rules of connections, because we're gonna mention them today while we're connecting الحروف. طيب, as we said the last time, inshallah, today we'll be talking about حروف المجموعة الأولى. المجموعة الأولى means the first group, and they are 7 letters as you see here. I'll say the names quickly and then inshallah we'll go in details for each of them. ألف باء تاء ثاء جيم حاء خاء. طيب يلا بينا, let's now go and learn slowly how to write each of them to master it. And to make it more effective, let's make this beautiful table, which we'll have here in the first column. خلاص, reminder, Arabi will start from the right. So we will start with al-harf, which means the letter. And then if there is any equivalent in English, and then we'll say al-ism, which is the name of this letter, how to call it. And then we'll take amthila. Amthila means examples. And then al-ma'na. Al-ma'na means the meaning of those amthila, of those examples. Our very first letter here, it's called alif. Alif. Yalla, let's learn how to write alif together. As we explained in the first video, that alif consists of two parts. Alif plus hamza on the top. Which means if we write alif just a stick like this, still correct. However, majority of the people, they will write it with the hamza on the top. طيب تمام. Now I want you to get your pen and let's slowly try to write alif together. I usually start with the stick, then hamza on the top. يلا تاني, again. Alif. Alif. And now congratulations, Mabruk, you already learned how to write Alif, your first Arabic letter. طيب تمام, since now we know how to write Alif, let's take amthila, examples. Always it will be better when we see it in a word. So Alif as in the word Ana. Ana means I. Don't worry about any other letter for now, because of course we'll come to each individually. I want you now to focus on the alif. How is it written with hamza and without hamza? مثال تاني, another example. Alif as in the word asad. Asad. Asad means lion. طيب تمام, now I want you to listen carefully because I'm gonna tell you 3 important notes about this letter alif. The first one, maybe you noticed already, as we said in the last video, that we have 6 letters, they never connect from the left, because we usually connect all the letters. So here is the important rule. Alif is our first friend from this group. That alif, put always in your mind, we never connect it from the left. We have to leave a little space and then we connect the other letters. And the second important rule about this letter alif, as you see here, you might be wondering, so Muhammad, why the first letter in the word ana we put hamza on the top and the last one we didn't put, so what's the difference? And the answer simply, it's all about the letter hamza. Whenever we put it, we give this a sound, this pause sound. And if we don't put it, it will be just a vowel, a long vowel, a sound. So listen carefully, it's ana, ana. That's why you see here in the word ana, I start with a, so I put hamza on the top. Same story in the word asad, I start with a, asad, so I put hamza on the top. However, if you listen carefully for ana, the last vowel is na. So do I make a sound? Did I say ana? No, it's ana, right? So it's long vowel. Same as in the word America. If you see here, the first A, it's a, America. However, the last one is America, ka. So this is exactly how it's written in Arabic. The first one with alif and hamza, and the last one no hamza because it's just a long vowel. طيب تمام. All what I care about now just to be a little more clear for you in the beginning about what's the sound of the hamza. And always, if you forget, my advice, come back to this example. America, you know that the first one with hamza, that's the a sound, and the last one, it's a long vowel, so no hamza. You know what I mean? طيب جميل. So now we know two important notes about alif, that we never connect alif from the left, and also the second note that whenever we put hamza, it will add kind of a pause or cutting sound. And the third note I want to tell you about alif, it's regarding hamza as well. Because whenever I put hamza on the top or the bottom of alif, it will change the pronunciation. So what does it mean? Let's discuss it in details. Now, when I put hamza on the top of alif, it has two options. Either it will be a sound, same as we said in ana or asad. It has another option, which is u sound, like in the word ummi, for example. Ummi means my mother. So you see, u. However, when I have hamza underneath the alif, it will have only one option, which is e sound, like in the word ibn, for example. Ibn means son. So you see, ibn. So how can I know the difference? It will be basically based on something called tashkil, which is the little movements. Inshallah, we'll discuss it later. But simply, if I put this little dash on the top, fatha, it will be a. And when I put this shape on the top, which is called dhamma, it will give me the u sound, like in the word ummi. And hamza at the bottom has only one option, which is e sound. So you see, I think by now we know the importance of hamza. As we mentioned earlier, even some scholars, they consider it a separate letter. That's why. طيب تمام. I think we spoke a lot about alif. I was just trying to tell you the most important things you need to know about alif in the beginning. And technically we spoke about two letters, not only one, which is alif plus hamza. طيب تمام. Now let's take alif and put it back in our table to see what we learned. طيب يلا. Now I want you to help me to fill this table. So al-harf is alif, either with or without hamza, equivalent to the a in English. Also keep in mind, depends where I put the hamza, it might be u or e sound, especially in the beginning of the word. And ism al-harf, the name of this letter is alif. Amthila, we said ana and asad. Al-ma'na, the meaning of ana is I, and al-ma'na for asad is line. طيب تمام. You see, will be always our style. We go slowly for each harf, we practice it, we take examples for it until it's clear in your head. طيب, now let's speed up a little bit. I want you always to remember that after alif, I have three sisters. They look exactly the same, only the difference where to put the dots. So you see, without the dots, they look exactly the same. I even always tell my students, always remember them, that they look like boats. طيب, we have three little boats. Let's see how to put the dots for each of them. The first one, the dot underneath, and it's called ba. Ba. And the second one, the dots on the top, looks like a smiley face, and this is ta. Ta. And the last letter out of those three sisters, it's called Tha, you see, with the tongue out, and it has three dots on the top. Tha. So yalla, let's repeat. Ba, ta, tha. Tani. Ba, ta, tha. The sounds of each, I believe it's quite obvious. And by the way, in Arabic, always the sound of each letter coming from its name. The first sound of its name. So we said alif, for example, it's a sound. That means the sound of ba, it's b. The sound of ta is ta, the sound of tha is tha, and so on. And yalla, let's see it in amthila to be more obvious. Ba, as in the word bab. Bab. Bab means door. So yalla, focus time. I want you very focused now. Why? Because we'll be applying the golden rules for connections we said in the previous video, remember? Plus also we'll be repeating the letters that we took earlier. So for example, you see here that we're applying that alif, we never connect it from the left. And also applying from the golden rules that always the shape of the letter comes back to its original shape at the end of the word. طيب يلا, another example for the letter باء is the word أب. أب. أب means father. So you can say أبي, my father, for example. Let's move to حرف التاء. تا تا تا. So let's see أمثلة for تاء. تاء as in the word تاج. تاج. تاج means crown. By the way, Masri will pronounce it tag. So you see how it's written? Tag. تاء ألف جيم. مثال تاني, another example. تاء as in the word بيت. بيت. بيت means house. Even you can create a quick sentence now. باب البيت. باب البيت, the door of the house. This is what I always tell you. Try to make sentences even with very little vocabulary you have. This is how you gain confidence. And now with حرف الثاء. ثاء. I put my tongue out. ثاء as in the word ثاني. ثاني. ثاني means second. ثاء as in the word أثاث. أثاث. You see how I put my tongue? أثاث. And if you're still struggling with that, learn from this dude over there. خلاص, you know how to make that right? So back to the word. أثاث means furniture. Now I want to tell you a very important note about this letter ثاء. Since this channel is mostly about Masri, you have to know that in Masri, ثاء is not pronounced with the tongue out. Usually majority of the words that they have ثاء in Masri will be pronounced as تاء, as the previous letter. And I made a separate video about the differences in Masri pronunciation. I'll try to put it down for you in the description. So, for example, this word here, ثاني, in Masri it's pronounced تاني. تاني. And you'll tell me, Muhammad, I hear you saying this word a lot, تاني. Doesn't it mean again? Yes, exactly. It's the same word. That means تاني. Literally it means second, but also in Masri especially, it has other usages such as again and even another sometimes. And now yalla, let's go back to our table and put the three sisters ba, ta, tha with the examples. Do you still remember how to write ba? We draw a boat with one dot underneath. تمام, let's continue. The equivalent is B, الاسم is ba. أمثلة, we said bab means door and ab means father. The next boat was ta, ta, the smiley face, equivalent to T, الاسم is ta. أمثلة, taj or tag, which means crown, and bait. Bait means house. And the last sister was tha. Tha. I put the tongue out and it has three dots on the top. Equivalent to th or th sound. الاسم is tha. أمثلة, ثاني means second and أثاث means furniture. طيب تمام. I hope now it's more clear in mind that we start always الحروف with ألف, then three sisters باء تاء ثاء, and now let's move to the last three sisters as well for today, which are جيم حاء خاء. جيم حاء خاء. So let's practice how to write them. Same story as the previous ones, they look exactly the same and only where to put the dot. So this is how you write the first one, جيم, or in Masri it's جيم. We'll talk about it in a second. And remember, the dot for جيم is inside, because the next one, no dots at all, which is حاء. حاء. This is the number 7, if you remember the video for the new sounds in Arabic. So حاء, no dots. And the last one is خا. خا, the vibration one, the number 5, the dot on the top of it. So جيم, the dot inside, حاء, no dots, خا, the dot on the top. طيب يلا. Now I want you to be very focused. Why? Because we'll say very important notes for each of them. So يلا بينا. طيب, the first sister is جيم خلاص, since this channel is mostly about Masri, you have to know that in Masri it's pronounced Geem. Geem, and it's very, very important note. Why? Because any word with Geem in Masri, it will become Geem, which is a very strong indicator for you. When you find someone pronouncing a word with Geem instead of Geem, خلاص, straight away I know it's Masri, and vice versa. If you find the word written with Geem, to pronounce it in Masri dialect, you have to make it Geem sound. طيب يلا أمثلة. Geem as in the word Jabal. Jabal. Jabal means mountain, and of course, as explained in Fusha, it will be Jabal. So Jabal or Jabal, same spelling. And if you notice here in writing, as we mentioned in the golden rules for connections, any letter with a belly, we cut it and put it over the line, right? This is exactly what we did with Geem. We cut the belly for Geem and we continue because we still have Ba coming and then Lam. That's why I was telling you these golden rules for connections are very important. So always recap them. طيب مثال تاني, another example for Geem. Geem at the end, like in the word tag or taj, the one that we said earlier, which is very, very good example to see how we understood now, because this word has so many rules we discussed so far. Number one, if you notice here, all of those letters we already took, ta, alif, and Geem, so it's becoming more easy and more familiar to read, right? That's amazing. Second, we keep applying the same rules over and over again. For example, here we have alif, we never connect it from the left. Also, Geem at the end comes back to its original format. So you see, it's all about practicing, irada, and here you go, you can read. طيب تمام, that was Geem or Geem in Masri. Let's move to Ha. And be careful, that's a new sound, so you have to know how to pronounce it. Ha. Ha. I made few videos how to pronounce Ha properly. I'll try to put them in the description box as well. طيب يلا أمثلة for Ha. By the way, in Masri they pronounce it Ha. Just Ha. One of the most famous Arabic words is Habibi. Habibi starts with Ha. Habibi means my lover. You see, we cut the belly as usual and we continue over the line. مثال تاني, another example. صباح. صباح. صباح means morning. صباح. طيب تمام. Before we move on, I want to tell you a very, very important note about this letter Ha. I see a lot of people and unfortunately a lot of Arabic educational material writing this letter Ha as H in English, which is very wrong. That's why if you follow me from the beginning, we're always saying that this letter Ha in Franco-Arabic is written with number 7, right? And I repeat it so many times, treat the new sounds as new sounds because this is what they are. Don't simplify it. This will not help your pronunciation. Especially with this letter Ha. Why? Because inshallah when we proceed with al-huruf, we'll see that there is another letter which is Ha. Exactly the same pronunciation as H in English, which is a very common mistake. That's why I'm telling you from the beginning, always put this mindset that Ha is a new sound. It's not Ha. And I'll show you now few examples that if I change the Ha to Ha, it might be even completely irrelevant word, you know? For example, the famous word haram, haram, which means not allowed or not permissible, start with Ha. If I change it to Ha, it will sound like haram, haram. Haram means pyramid, completely different word. So you see, haram, haram. Another example came to my mind now. The only difference is Ha and Ha. For example, the word mahdood, mahdood with Ha, that means limited. If I change only the Ha to be Ha, like the H, it will be mahdood. Mahdood means destroyed. So you see, different words. So I can say Beit mahdood, for example, destroyed house. And so on. We have few examples like that. So simply what I mean, I want you always to have the right mindset of learning. Exert some effort from the beginning. Don't take lazy shortcuts, and you'll see this will pay off well later on. And now with our final harf for today, which is Kha. Kha. So how to write it? We just start the same as the three sisters and we put the dot on the top. Again, it's a new sound. It's the number 5 if you remember from the video, the new sounds in Arabic. A little vibration from the roof of the mouth. Kha kha kha.
It's like you're sick with a cold or a flu and you got phlegm in your throat and you're trying to cough that thing up. Ha! Or your throat is itchy. Ha!
Same story as I just mentioned with the ha. Take it from the mindset, it's a new sound. Kha kha kha. It's not ka, because usually in English they write it KH. You have to think about that. It's only written KH because this letter kha doesn't exist in the Latin alphabet. As simple as that. However, the sound wise, it's kha. It's not ka. طيب يلا أمثلة for خاء. خاء is in the word أخبار. أخبار. أخبار means news. مثال تاني, another example. خاء as in the word شيخ. شيخ. شيخ means old man. And by the way, in Masri, Sheikh usually refers to a religious man or a religious scholar. تمام? So yalla, let's take our 3 sisters as well, Gim, Ha, Kha, and put them in the table just to recap.
The first one was Jim or Gim in Masri, equivalent to J or G, depends. اسم الحرف Gim or Jim. أمثلة, we said Gabal means mountain, or Tag means crown. In Fosha, pronounced Jabal and Taj. The next sister is Ha or Ha in Masri, equivalent to ta ta ta. Exactly, there is no equivalent for it. It's a new sound, which is the number 7 in Franco-Arabic. اسم الحرف حاء. أمثلة, we said Habibi means my lover, addressing a male, and Sabah means morning. And the last sister in Al-Majmu'a Al-Ula, the first group, was Kha, equivalent to شاطرين, no equivalent for it. It's a new sound, which is the number 5 in Franco-Arabic. خ. أمثلة, we said أخبار. أخبار means news. And Sheikh. Sheikh means old man or a religion scholar. You see, that's the best way how we remember this first group. I have Alif by itself, and then I have 3 twins, 3 sisters, Ba, Ta, Ta, and then I have 3 more sisters, Jim, Ha, and Kha. طيب, we'll stop here by today. Remember, we stopped by the letter Kha, and inshallah from the next time we'll have different groups. Also, there is something in common between them, of course. Keep practicing until next time. Always once is never enough. Also, I'll try to leave some links in the description where you can find more videos to watch. Stay tuned for part 2 inshallah, and always remember, Irada is the key. سلام.
الحياة نبعد ندور نمشي في